Hi there, business owner. Are you looking to improve your business knowledge? Do you want to see behind the scenes of successful businesses? And more importantly, are you looking to build a better business in just 15 minutes each week? If so, you're in the right place. Welcome to the 3Bs podcast. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the 3Bs podcast, where we're dedicated to empowering UK business owners on their journey to building a better business. As always, I'm your host, Stephanie, and today we are starting a 4-part series called Financial Foundations, where we're going to set the cornerstones of financial success. So with Financial Foundations, each week over the next 4 weeks, we're going to take a deep dive into one of the cornerstones I believe is imperative for financial success. This is week 1, and we're going to talk about understanding budgeting. Budgeting is so important in both your personal life as well as a business owner in the company's life. And we're going to go into that a little bit more in this episode. So I hope you enjoy it. Let's get on with it. Let's start with what is budgeting. So budgeting is a process of estimating the revenue and expenses in a business for the future. It is a strategic planning tool that businesses use to set goals, reduce costs, and manage their finances. And setting those firm foundations from the beginning helps you to scale quicker with more ease and a lot less stress. This can also be applied to personal finances by tracking your income and your expenditure. You can see what you've got left at the end of each month. Budgets are usually based on past performances as well as future expectations, but they can be prepared on one or the other. That means our budgets are never going to be 100% accurate because there is always so many variables and things that can happen either within a business or personally, which may affect that budget. What we do with our clients is we mix the real data from the past performance with the predicted data for the future and meet somewhere in the middle. And at the end of that particular period, we will do a budget versus actual report when we've got the data to see how close we are. And we use that data to then prepare the next budget to make them even more accurate going forwards. Budgeting is absolutely crucial for your business's success, even more so if you're looking to set those firm foundations and are ready to scale and really grow your business. Budgeting is important for a whole number of reasons, but some of them are that you are prepared for emergencies. As I've said, you never know what's happening in business, and it's the same in personal life. So it's important to plan for the unexpected. A budget can be a great tool to manage the income and outgoings, but it also can give you the data needed to start putting away a pot, putting away an emergency fund, both personally and professionally. We've done it at home. We have an emergency fund for things like if the boiler broke down or if the car broke down, or even a holiday fund. If you want to put away for a holiday personally, then budgeting is a great way to ensure you're doing so without affecting your day-to-day living. It is the same with a business. If you've got an emergency fund to cover your wage salary bill, for example, you know that whatever happens, you have got that emergency fund there. And that can only be done well if you're budgeting and you know approximately what you've got left, so what you can put away safely without jeopardizing the financial health of the business. A general rule of thumb is to put away between 3 to 6 months of your overheads into a emergency fund or a savings account for emergencies. Now that sounds a lot, especially if you're running a quite high overhead business. So start small, get your budget together, look at your income and outgoings, and work out how much approximately you can put away each month to start building up that pot ready for when emergencies occur. In a similar way, budgeting is great because you have the data to make those large financial purchases on the business. If you're purchasing more assets, more warehouses, vehicles, maybe machinery to make a new product line, investing in research and development to create something new to bring to the market often comes with a large financial price tag. And if you can budget well, you can comfortably afford to make those larger financial purchases without getting too much into debt. And if you are in debt in the business, debt is not always a bad thing. It's not something that we're going to talk about negatively, because debt can sometimes be a really good thing in business. If you have debt, by budgeting effectively, you'll be able to pay off the debt either at the rate you agreed when you took out the agreement, or even faster, so that you are owner of the asset you've purchased, for example, and where that debt has come from. Again, following on, if a business has a budget, a proven budget that is updated regularly, and the business has cleared all its debts, it's going to be a lot more attractive to potential investors. And if you are looking to scale, those firm foundations of having a budget and have the demonstrating that you've kept to the budget, or the tweaks you've made to the budget as you've kept monitoring those businesses, and that the foundations of your business are solid, gives you a much higher chance of attracting investors to scale your business and take it to the next level. So to get started on making a budget, it's really simple. You just need to make a list of all the income and all the outgoings for a specific period. I'd encourage you to start with March 2024. Go back and look at all your incomes and all your outgoings. Now, depending on the type of business you have, and your business will be very unique, so it's not even down to sector, you will know as a business owner whether March is usually a busy month for you, is usually a quieter month for you, or is an average month for you. Now, depending on that information and the data you've collected, you'll be able to make a plan for April. So a good example of this is when COVID hit and the cost of stock and materials skyrocketed for many of my clients, and we had to ensure that the budget would allocate some of the funds that we were expecting to come in to go towards their cost of goods sold, knowing that actually it was going to cost more per item they made or sold, so the profit margins would be lower. They would still put away the correct estimated amount of taxes so that everything was still stable, but they would know what would be left to a much better degree than if they were just going around blindly without a budget. It all ties together in that a budget unlocks all the data you need, not only to keep the business stable and set those firm foundations, but to enable it to grow and scale. Depending on what you're looking for in your business right now, some people will be in a growth phase, some people will be just keeping it steady, some people will be looking to wind it down, and that's all okay because it's your business and it's your choice. But depending on where you are in your business and what you want, your budgets can be tweaked and changed to fit what you are looking to achieve in your business. It wouldn't be an episode of the 3Bs podcast without me giving you some actionable step or top tip to take away and implement right now. And one tip is relating to budgeting in a zero-based approach. Now, there's many ways to budget. This is just one of the ways that we use with certain clients that it resonates really well with. And that is the zero-based budgeting approach. So with this method, every pound is assigned a purpose, ensuring that every expense is accounted for and aligns with your business goals. By starting from zero and building your budget based on your business's needs and priorities, you can make more informed financial decisions and optimize your resources for maximum efficiency. That means you start with a line underneath the page, like starting again, 31st of March, draw a line under it, start from the 1st of April. If you're listening to this in the back catalogue and the archive, go for the next month, the 1st of the month. And as if you were starting at zero, start building out a budget based on real-time spend. So if your rent comes out on the 5th, you include that into your budget. That's what your rent is. That's what you budget for. And your budget becomes not only a record of what you've spent, so you can clearly see where your funds are being allocated, but you will have a much better idea and understanding of the business. And then once you have a month of data, you'll be able to go back and look at it and go, okay, so I'm spending 7% of my income on accountancy fees. I need to get that down. So I need to either find an outsourced partner or bring in a member of staff that can be more productive or efficient with their time. or I need to find a new supplier for that particular item because their cost unit price has increased dramatically from last month and that's too expensive. It's a great way to start from nothing, from the beginning. Start with that zero-based approach. If you want to build a budget from scratch. If not, like I said before, go through your income and expenses, what you're spending right now, go for last month's data, and then look at this month. What often happens with a zero-based approach is you will realize you are spending money on subscriptions or software or tools that you really don't need to be, which makes it a great cost-cutting exercise, which boosts your profitability. And this week's book recommendation is a personal finance book called You're Not Broke, You're Pre-Rich by Emilie Bellet, which is Emilie and then Bellet. I'll pop it in the show notes description for you. It's a handbook packed full of financial advice from a personal finance perspective. It has loads of actionable tips and no-nonsense practical advice, which is very similar to the way I like to run this podcast, which I think is why it resonated so well with me and why I wanted to recommend it to you as listeners. It is great at teaching you not only financial education to understand your personal finances better, but how to make your money work for you. As I said at the beginning of this episode, it's really important to get your personal finances straight, to set those firm foundations personally and have some financial stability, because that will naturally infiltrate into your business anyway, but it helps you make better financial decisions as a whole. Because at the end of the day, whether you are a sole trader and it's your business is an extension of you, or whether you're a director of a limited company or companies, your businesses are still a part of you and you are still an influence in the way they work. So the stronger you are financially savvy, the more financially savvy, the better business you're going to build. And that brings us to the end of another episode of the 3Bs podcast. Thank you so much for listening. As I said earlier, this is week 1 of a 4-week financial foundation series. So do join us next week for week 2. I hope you found these insights valuable and I hope it really helps you to build a better business. I've been Stephanie. Thank you for joining. I'll see you next week for the next episode. And that brings us to the end of another episode of the 3Bs podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Please connect with us on social media. Like, rate and review wherever you are listening to this podcast so that I can help more business owners build a better business. See you next week.